Welcome everybody, Steve here. Well, this is our next project. We're painting this engine. So this particular engine is a 305 Chevy, and it's going into a early models GMC pickup. So period correct paint for this is of course the orange, and we're going to do a little nicer job on this one. If you watch some of our projects, you can see that our engines are nice and shiny, they're all beautiful, and the reason is we prep them up, make them look good, and then I spray them with an industrial paint. I use Endura, and you just get a little bit longer life out of your paint job, and it looks so much nicer. But you know, there's some things we got to do. We got to prep this. If it ain't sanded, it ain't sticking. So we got to make sure that everything that we do has been sanded and repaired. And on these valve covers, we got these little brackets here, and they're for the spark plug wires, and they are not period correct. So we're going to lose those, so I got to take them off and do the body work, because there's going to be a little bit there. It won't be that much work to do. I see you've got a little dent here. You know, you're putting this much effort in, make sure that you do a good job, because you know, you get the paint job all done and you look and you see a dent in your valve cover and it's like, I would have just spent another 5 minutes. But I think the first thing we're going to do is do some cleaning here. The most important thing when you're doing an engine is you got to get rid of that grease. And this engine, we're just really fortunate. It's a nice shape, so we don't have to do a power wash or anything like that. And I know the little brother, he wants to leave the distributor in. But I think if we put a couple indicator marks here, I might be able to pull that and then put it back in. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll have to chat with him about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a little bit of plastic here, and I'm just going to start picking away and slowly get this thing cleaned up. And then we got to kind of figure out how we're going to sand it. It's not that easy of a job to do. You know, there's a lot of little nicks and crannies in here, and I got some ideas, but we'll just have to see if they work. Okay, enough. Let's get going. I'll get this cleaned up, and then we can start on the valve covers. So first thing you got to do, of course, is protect all the open spots. We do not want to get anything anywhere here. And what you can do, I'll show you what I do. Could use masking tape, but I think duct tape is probably a better solution, just simply because it's a little tougher. That's pretty good. Go around the edges, and then you just take your little ball peen hammer and just tap it around. It'll help get it started, you know. And then see, it just comes right off. It's like making a gasket. One of the first things I learned when I was a little kid is how to make a gasket. I brought that story up the other day to my friends, and I asked, my dad had a little small little ball peen, and I asked him what it was for, and he showed me. be hammering on it, just take a little taps. Now you could go around with a sharp knife, but I always find that I end up cutting not enough or too much, and it's up being a bit of a pain. Yeah, it's beautiful, tell ya. Okay, get this all finished up. You don't need to be watching this. Just got some paint thinner in here. So what I'm going to do is clean this stuff up here, and then I'm just going to put a piece of tape over this, and then when we're ready to finish up, then you take the tape off, give it a scuff, and then, you know, we'll throw some paper down in here, something like that. Just a little paint thinner, yeah, paint thinner. It's kind of like a solvent. It's not stuff I mix with automotive paint or anything like that. But then use an aggressive brush. You know, I've got a little steel brush here. I just buy them off the Big A. Now, nobody says that this is going to be fun. I am not going to just say, you know what, this really rocks it. You know, you might want to do this every day. Wrong. Now, I got a couple of options here. Once you get everything kind of half-ass cleaned up a little bit. You could take your air hose and blow it out. I'm going to get some on the camera, I know it. Works okay. I think you're still going to need a rag. Now we got to get in here and sand. I got some ideas. It'd be really nice if we could just take this outside, give it a sand blast, but some people do. Not this guy. Man, I tell you what, you could just open up some serious issues with that. Okay, I'm not going to bore you guys with this cleaning stuff because, man, it's even tough for me right now. So my thinking is, if I can get all the sanding done, prepped up here, and down around here, before I take these off. I think we are going to take these off. So that's the thinking anyway. Because if you're sanding in here and then you've got to do some pretty fancy taping to make sure that nothing gets in the engine, so we'll get her though. So what I did, I took this little stick, just a piece of 3/8 rod or dowling, rounded it, taped on a piece of scuff, and then you can get in there into all the little places that you need to get. And it's quite amazing how well it works. But the problem is it wears out on the end. So, let's see what happens. It does wear out a little bit. Don't know how we could solve that, but it definitely helps. Does a pretty good job too. I am going to pull this distributor. Talked to the little brother, made a mark right here so we know exactly where it is. Took a picture so we know exactly where it has to drop in. So it should be good. Let's just take this bracket right off of here. It's going to make life so much better. Here's another little tip. What I got in here is I got some lacquer. And, you know, this is just the cheapest of cheap paint. You know, it's basically, you know, enamel. So if you spray a lacquer on there, it'll soften it up. So what I'll do, my final wash, I'm going to use this. And they can get in there, clean things up pretty good. And then what it'll do, because, you know, you can't be perfect when you're trying to sand something like this. And it'll soften up that paint just a little bit. And then maybe you get a little bit more adhesion. And it does a really good job of cleaning it. This is another trick that I use if I'm doing door jambs. I always give it a rinse with the lacquer as well. You let it sit there for a little bit and it softens the paint up. They do have some sort of, they call it a liquid sandpaper. Now I remember years ago this liquid sandpaper, but I never ever used it. Let me know if you've ever used it and if it's any good. Even if it exists, it might be one of those serious chemicals that you just don't, that they just can't have anymore. I don't know. Don't know anything about it. Got the water draining right now, the antifreeze. We're changing the block heater because it looks like it might be leaking a little bit, so it's all good. And it'll let me turn this engine a little bit better so that nothing comes flying out the front here. This little thing here really works good with all these little doingers on there. Just getting in around the bolt heads. That's the tough part. take all this stuff off and then get these valve covers looked after. So one thing, I'm looking down this valve cover and a little high right here, so I'm just going to knock it down before I pull it off here. Round spot right there. Doesn't take much. Valve covers are pretty thin. Well, before we prep this, I'm definitely going to make sure that this is clean, ready to go. Any of the little dents are pretty minor, so I'm just going to use some putty here. And then we'll give these a prime job, just, you know, where I'm doing any repairs. Need some room here. So we want to have this all assembled before we paint it. This goes here, of course, the water pump. So what I want to do is I want to paint the back of the water pump and I want to paint the front of this. That way we can bolt it all up and then we'll just scuff whatever the overspray is, and then we're ready to paint the whole thing. But if you don't, then this is all going to start rusting, and there's always going to be a little bit of blue back in here. So let's get that all tuned up here. So I'm just going to hit these with a little bit of 80 grit first, and then a little bit of 150, and then we'll hit her with some primer. I'm just using the 1K gray high build. It'll be just fine and dandy. Just gonna give it a little bit of guide code here on the spots that I'm gonna be worried about. Shouldn't be any worries, but you never know. Just so the guy can't see anymore, you know, it's my lighting is starting to get bad in here. I got a couple lights that are burning out on me. I'm not happy about that. So what we decided, we got the gaskets on here, and we're just going to drop these down, and then paint, and then we will put the, they'll bolt it all together, you know, put the little, I don't know what they call those little spreaders there, but if you wanted to bolt it up, then you're going to have blue underneath it, so let's get her all done right. See how this one's gonna fit on there. Just like yonder. Like it. Okay, just gonna do a little scuffing here, and then we're gonna hang up all the dumb little things that we gotta paint. And then we're ready to go. So on these Chevys, there's a hole here, but if I keep it taped up, then that will be exposed. So you just throw the gasket on there. Let's just run it around here like this. Make sure we're close. And then I'll just cut that off right there, and then it will be fine. I think I gotta go back a little bit more. Not much, but just a bit. Well, I think we're done. Let's give it a blow here. I'm just talking the valve covers. For the most part, you know, when you paint your engine, you kind of got, you know, the paint's not really that shiny, but this will be. So if you got any cooties, it's just going to really show. So it doesn't hurt just to give it one little shot of tack cloth. Color good. Done. Next day. And I tell you what, this engine looks absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna do a little cleaning on some of the glue here, because that when you paint tape, sometimes the little sticky stuff just kind of sticks there. Well, that's actually pretty good. Duct tape's worse than regular tape, of course. For some reason, the adhesive is pretty good stuff. Now I'm excited. I'm gonna do my own now for some of my projects. I'm just gonna throw this distributor in there, because I kind of know where it was. Next on the list, exhaust manifolds. So I've already sandblasted them, and we're just going to blow them off real quick before I start spraying. And I use this VHT header paint, and this is cast iron. This stuff really works good. I did my manifolds on my 71, and they're still great. They do discolor a little bit, you know, because there's a lot of heat there, but paint's holding up. So I'll get a blower, blow these off, start throwing down some paint. So it's time to paint all the little black things. We got power steering bracket, alternator bracket, pulleys, and one of my comments was, if we're putting that much effort into painting this engine, we're going to paint these right. You know, we could have just spray bombed them, but if you want it to last long, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of epoxy primer, and then I'm going to hit it with a semi-gloss black. The same stuff that we use on the frames and all that kind of stuff. And it's really nice and durable, but better than that, looks good. So I'm just going to get all set up here, and then we'll get some epoxy on this, get these painted.